Hi everybody, welcome to a security special that we're having with a really interesting subject this week around fake news. Fake news has obviously been in the news a lot over the last probably 5 years, and it's now made its way into cybersecurity. And I'm delighted to have Michelle Hansen with us, who's the Chief Information Security Officer for Micro Focus, for us to have a discussion around this. Welcome to the video, Michelle.
Well, thank you. It's really nice to be here.
So I think where we need to start really is just to define what fake news means in the cybersecurity area. How would you describe it, Michelle? How have you seen this start to happen?
Well, I think it's not that different than everyday fake news, but it's misleading information. So in cybersecurity, it's really important to get the best and clearest information you can. But what we're seeing is misleading information coming toward us.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think we've all seen over the last few years where there've been phishing scams in our personal life, and there's been a lot of phishing, and we've all got to learn quite well how to deal with the sort of inherently risky emails that we're getting. But this seems to now be coming into corporate life, and then the fake news just takes it to that next level of reporting attacks that really aren't real.
Well, I think too, it's something in cybersecurity we called spoofing. So, but when a contact outside of Micro Focus gets an email that it looks like it's from Micro Focus, it looks like fake news. And so that's our problem right now. We're seeing an escalation of that.
And what effect has that had specifically on your business at Micro Focus? How's that manifested itself?
So I think what it is, it's kind of challenged us because our customers are seeing emails where have a partial Micro Focus address or a misspelled Micro Focus address. So they think it's us. Or they go to our website and they think that they have downloaded some more malicious URL, if you will. And so that's been really challenging because it's not just about investigation. It's about us really doing our homework and feeding back through marketing and our customer base to reassure them that it's not coming from Micro Focus. So it's a bit of a social challenge, I think.
So it's a reputational risk as well as a technical risk, which presumably for your teams in the security area is a very different thing to be having to work with marketing and look at the way this is impacting the whole business.
Absolutely. For us in security, normally we just get a problem, do the homework, do the investigation, download the logs, the classic cybersecurity. But for these type of issues, we really need to go back through marketing, and so they can go back to our customers, and they can then reassure them that we're doing our due diligence. Because if somebody comes to us and they think they've got a malicious link from Micro Focus, then we have to reassure them that we are going to take a look at it. We're not going to just dismiss it. We're going to take a look at it. And then we have to show them the technical steps we've done in a language they understand to show, actually, no, this wasn't coming from Micro Focus. This is a fake Micro Focus. It's not us. And this is what we're going to do about it. Because there are things we can do about it. But yeah, it's a different personal skill that the cyber investigators have to have.
And have you seen these sort of fake attacks coming? Have they come to you through the media as well as through your customers, or is it mainly reported by customers?
It's mainly reported by customers, and it comes in different forms. The first is an email purporting to be Micro Focus. We've had quite a few of those, but we've also had where customers have gone to our website. And then very closely related to that, they get a problem on their computer. And they get concerned that there was a malicious URL on our website. But because we gather all the logs, we can go through the logs, we can see what they did, and then turn around and go back to them and say, no, this didn't come from our website, but we did do a further investigation, and this email address was compromised in maybe another attack. Again, it's a much broader role for the cybersecurity team that we've had in the past. So we have to interface with marketing. Sometimes our salespeople come directly to us, so we'll go back through them. But also to the product owners, so the product owners know that their particular customer has a concern, and if it's really difficult, we'll go back through legal.
And do you see this through your leadership teams as well? I know in our business we see any number of items coming to our CEO or purported to be from our CEO where there are things there. And I think there's two sides to that. One is just the phishing side and how we keep people up to date, but also on the other side where if these fake attacks are being reported by our people as well, whereby they're then thinking around, have they been infected by other people they use? Do you see it from that side as well?
Oh yeah, we see our senior leadership spoofed quite a bit, but we have special filters to protect them. We do an education piece across Micro Focus, and it does seem to go in waves. I know it sounds funny, but it seems like it happens at the beginning of the year, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it is funny. It's certainly, we see it at the beginning of each quarter. It's sort of, in that first couple of days of a new quarter, as if it's been set up to run on a quarterly basis. It is quite strange. How do you feel about the education that's available in the market and how educated the whole market is about this whole subject?
Well, I don't think there's much education about it. Cyber is always such an emotional subject, and that complicates things. So when a customer or a colleague or a work colleague or gets something from Micro Focus or purporting to be from Micro Focus, it's difficult. First thing you'd have to do is the education to show them actually this is a spoofed Micro Focus address, or the logs show it wasn't from our website. It's on us to do the education, I think, and on each company.
I completely agree. I think it's down to us as leaders in the companies to actually educate our teams in order that they're as ready as they can be to deal with these sorts of attacks. Do you think that as an organisation, have you put processes in place specifically to deal with these fake attacks, or is it more down to the people to be aware of these in your security teams?
So we have put processes in place, new processes. So in the past, the cybersecurity team, we received an incident, we would work it, we triage it, we'd work it, we'd contact the product owner or whoever it might be, IT system. But now we have a new process in place. So if it's a fake news, then the first thing we do is triage the event. But then we also reach out to our marketing team and we let them know this has happened, because they might see more. We had one incident about 10 months ago where 2 or 3 of our customers were received the same email with a fake Micro Focus email. So we educated our marketing team to say, hey, if you hear this, come back to us and we can give you a statement. And we ended up crafting a statement for them. I think they call it a drawer statement that they could then use over and over to say, this is what happened. We're doing the deeper dive on it, and we'll come back to you. And what we found in this case was it was a fake Micro Focus address. The people that had received this particular attack were people that were very active in other media. So their addresses were found readily in conferences or exhibits or that sort of thing. But that's new to us. We, in the past, wouldn't have done as much with marketing. Um, so, and then we also would deal a lot with legal on this too, to let them know what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's in social media, we report it up through the appropriate social media chain.
I was going to say the other side for me is the social. I think the social media side is really interesting. I think for sort of certainly more consumer businesses, I think there's a lot of looking at social media and really scanning social media, because it's amazing how quick this information starts to come out when there's potentially some malicious emails or something malicious, and even if it then subsequently proves that it's nothing to do with the company in question, just because it's all been suspected there, that can have real reputational risk. And I'm sure it's the same for Micro Focus as well, given the amount of users you have worldwide.
Well, absolutely. So, and our processes today would join us up, but this is new. I mean, really, I've only put these processes in play in the last 16 months. Because at first we just thought it was a one-off, but then it's really heightened during lockdown. And I'm wondering if it's because people are separated. And so you're not sitting next to that person in an office or across a boardroom table. So it's harder to say no, basically, to a fake news.
I think that's true, and I think also if you're all sat in an office and something comes in that you don't recognise, you turn to the person next to you and you go, "Have a look at this. What do you think?" So you get that collaboration. Whereas I think you're less likely to do that if you're at home. I thought it was very interesting what you were saying about it being an emotional subject as well. I think sometimes people find it quite hard to report these things, especially if they happen to have clicked on something, because it's a thought of, oh goodness me, what's going to happen next. I think we have to somehow get to a no blame culture in this as well, because the number of people that get caught by these things is huge.
Absolutely, but it is very emotional, and I think it's the unknown. So if you receive one of these emails or these URLs or whatever it might be, you don't know where it's going to take you. So ransomware is really scary, and so people go to the dark side as soon as they receive something like this. So I think that's another part of our job, is to say, this is what it is, and this is where it came from, because many times it's the end of it. But again, it's emotional. People don't know what to do with this type of thing. So it is a new element of the cybersecurity team to be able to, lack of a better term, talk people off the edge, because we want to assure them that this is a bad link. It didn't come from us. This is where it probably came from, because once we look at the logs, we can usually find where it came from, and this is what we can do about it. So it's not like any other different IT problem. It's solvable.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to the trusted relationship that you have with your customer, doesn't it, as well? Because you don't only want the customer to be prepared to pick the phone up to you to go, "Is this from you?" but you also want them to be prepared to listen to you and to actually understand the steps that you've taken to try and mitigate the risk for them as well.
Absolutely, and I think this builds trust with our customers. Again, this is an element. Normally, the cybersecurity team would be reaching out directly to a customer. We might be reaching out now through marketing so that they know what has happened and that we responded to it. And I think the other thing is it's solvable. So take the mystery out of it. And that helps to get rid of the emotion that is many times attached to these type of things. So I think that's part of our job as well. And along with the other members of the marketing team, maybe it's the sales team, the product team, whoever it might be, so that we, Micro Focus, are speaking with one voice and saying, this is what happened, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we can help you.
So you obviously work for a global organization as well. Do you think there's differences culturally as well as you look around in your different markets as to how people react to these pieces of news?
Well, absolutely. So we did a Micro Focus wide phishing attack. And Micro Focus is quite large. And I think we're over 20 countries. And what we saw was some distinct reactions in certain countries on how they reacted to a phishing attack. Because culturally, they're more prone to click on an email from a senior member of staff because that's our culture. They don't consider that it might be a phishing attack and it was startling what we saw. And there was two specific regions, that we saw differences in the way they attacked, looked at the phishing attack. And so we put some processes in place specifically with those languages to do more education. But it's very, very specific. Yeah.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because we all like to think it's a global problem, but actually different countries will react in different ways. And also it comes back to this point that it's emotional and it's actually very personal as well. And it's extremely personal how people react to these things. And we have to support our teams in making sure they react in the right way, but also supporting them as they're going through that.
Yeah, it is. When somebody gets a phishing attack, it feels very personal. Like, this is about me. And it's like trolling. And that's another element on the internet. And we want to tamp that down. And also, but the only way to do that is with education and to show people that we're actually there for them. And again, that's a broadened role of the cybersecurity team. It requires us to have stronger personal skills.
So as we come to the end of this discussion, if you were talking to security and IT managers who'll be watching this, what would be the couple of biggest recommendations you give them to deal with this?
I think the two recommendations is the first thing is say, well, take a look at it. Because I think your reaction as a cyber professional is, we know it didn't come from this is not our email, but that's defensive. So we want to say, we'll take a look at it for you, leave it with us, but make sure you go back in a timely manner. And then when you do find what it is, be transparent. Say, this is a malicious URL. It came from this log. Yeah, maybe this email address was compromised in another attack. And that's part of our way to go back to our customer. And it helps them, I think, with the education, and they'll come back to us if they have more questions.
So it's effectively the first point, having an empathy for the person who's making the call, which I must admit, for some IT professionals, having an empathy, it's an interesting concept. But secondly, then I agree with you. I think the transparency point is hugely important in the fact that we all need to be transparent with this. And I think it's becoming interesting in the media where, as organizations are reporting these attacks, you're starting to see more and more of the transparency where I think 3-4 years ago, these were being hidden by organizations, where I think everybody now knows it's a when, not if, people are going to get hit by these, or organizations are going to get hit. And therefore, we have to be transparent because it's a problem we've all got to face.
Well, and the better educated we are, the better chance we have against these things. So transparency is important.
So it's about working together as well, isn't it? As a business community, it's all understanding where we are. Michelle, thank you very much. It's been really interesting to talk about that with you and to gain your insights. I hope everybody watching has enjoyed the video, and I look forward to speaking to you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.